Hi guys, I am back after a year. A year ago, I didn't have an iPhone like what I'm using right now. I just got myself a iPhone 17 Pro Max. It's been a year that I've had a good phone because I was using a cheap $100 like Motorola phone. I was very limited using it. But a few weeks ago, I decided to just go and finance an iPhone. So yeah, without it, it's been a year since I've had a good phone, a good quality phone. I was in a very, very, very massive budget a year ago because I was paying off 30 grand of debt. Um, a year now, fast forward a year, um, I'm very, very close to the finish line to paying off all my debt. This all started back in 2022. We're now in 2026. Um, when I decided to get dental implants, uh, I knew that going into it, it was going to be very costly, but I didn't realize the burden and the weight and how much it would backtrack me with many goals in my life. So everything came up to $30,000. Yeah, heavy number, just saying it out loud. Everything was $30,000. And I went to a private high-end clinic, which I was 23. I didn't know any better. I kind of just wanted the best of the best and the best experience and the best dentist because I was afraid of the pain and the procedure and everything. I just wanted a good quality dentist, clinic, I should say, which they were amazing. They were great, but I got into massive debt because everything was 30 grand and I couldn't pay off. I couldn't pay that off in the moment. Who the hell, I mean, other than if you're really rich and you're really good with finance and managing your money. I was 23 at the time. It was during like still kind of COVID times. So I had to take out like 3 dental loans. One dental loan was like 10,000. The other loan was like, I want to say like 15,000. It was a lot of money. Um, at the time I was young. I was 23. Like I'm 28 now, and I just can't believe how fast my life went after taking out that loan because I feel like I did not live after those loans. I didn't have time for any more fun. At the time I was living with my mom, and I had my own room. I didn't pay rent. If I had a job or I didn't, it didn't really jeopardize anything because I was still living with my mom. So there was no responsibility there, even though I always worked while I lived with my mom, but it wasn't like, oh my God, like I need to make rent every month. It wasn't any of that sort. It was more like to buy myself clothes, buy myself like my basic personal items, everyone's essential items. So everything changed. Everything changed. I went from hanging out with my friends in my mom's house, my friends coming over. I had a lot of free time. I would go to Arizona. I would travel with my brothers. I would go shopping a lot. I would go to Zara, Sephora, Ulta. I would just blow my money away, and just pay it off, and that's it. But when you add 30,000 into the mix, the dynamic changes. It changes completely because now you have to work. Now you got to make those weekly or monthly payments because if you don't, high interest will come and bite you in the butt later. So yeah, I had 30,000 of debt and I didn't have a job at the time. I did not. I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. You know, I had a lot of goals and ambition and drive to do many different things. I wanted to get into singing, into acting, into modeling. What didn't I want to do? I wanted to pursue my graduate degree. I wanted to invest in my education, but all of that had to stop because I had 30,000 under my name, and I had a few years to, like, I had a timeline when to pay that off. And so with that being said, ever since 2022, I started doing odd jobs. I was doing nanny jobs. I was doing like part-time babysitting. I had to do cashier work. I had to do dog walking. I live in the Upper West Side in Manhattan, and I'm like just like going back the years. I'm like, how the hell are we in 2026 already? Like, what the hell did I do? So, you know, my mind was more focused on, let me get this money, let me get this money, let me get this money, let me get this cash. Every week I need cash to pay off these loans every week. Just throw any little thing to that loan, to that loan, to that loan. So I started like a dog walking business in the Upper West Side, which is where I was born and raised. And I love animals, always been an animal lover. I'm currently in my friend's house because I'm walking his adorable dog. But anyways, I had to find ways to just make cash. I wasn't focused on school. I wasn't focused on getting a high salary because I just couldn't, because I had a deadline and I had a massive amount to pay off in a time frame. So let's just say like Cindy's life, it just vanished in a matter of like seconds. So I was doing, like I said, nannying, babysitting, cashier jobs at night, dog walking in the morning, at night, and anytime in the weekends. I had no life. I would hang out with my friends occasionally, but it wasn't the same. I couldn't be present. I couldn't enjoy my time with them because I didn't have money. All my money went to these loans. I wasn't really enjoying myself just because of this massive debt. To add on to that, I had to move twice. I moved twice during the time that I took out loans, because I was having family issues at home. It was just I needed to do it for my mental health. So I moved out, I think a month or two later after I got those loans out. I moved with my boyfriend somewhere in Mount Vernon. So we had to pay rent on top of debt. And we were there for a year. And then for me, it wasn't an option to go back with my mom. Like we were there 2022 to 2023. And then late 2023, I started talking to a landlord, just because moving back with my mom was just not an option. 0%. And my dad, he doesn't have space in his house, even though he lives in the city, but he has a new wife and kids, and there was just no, like, I just didn't fit in that equation. Quite literally, there was no space in that house for me, nowhere to sleep. Not ideal. My mom's house, not ideal. So I took it upon myself to find my own place for my mental health and peace and quiet and sanity, which I ended up finding something in New York City, by Van Cortlandt Park. It was beautiful. And my rent was $18,000 a month. I'm sorry, $1,800, 1800. It was $1,800 a month, and it was a 1-bedroom. I was by myself paying that. But to sustain that rent, I had to do nannying in the morning from like 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then I would work at a university from like 9 to 3, 9 to 4. And then I would close a store, like a mom and pop Greek shop in the Upper West Side on Columbus Avenue. So my day started very early. I would wake up at 5, get in the shower, get ready, be out the door by 6, get to babysitting by 7 a.m., do drop off for the toddler at 9, and then go to the office. And then I would just do that every day, and then close the store 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Sometimes 6 p.m. So my days went on like a hamster wheel. It didn't stop just because I had to pay loans, I had to pay my rent, I had to pay my food, I had to pay my transportation, everything. Everything was done in one day. And this happened for a few years. Like I said, everything went downhill after 2022. That's when the grind really started. The hustle just started from that moment. And then for my Van Cortlandt apartment, my landlord, she wanted to renew the lease, but she increased the rent to like $2,000 a month. I was like, there's no way. I mean, I could have stayed, but that would just mean more hustling and more grinding. And how much more can I hustle and grind if I already am working 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to late 10 p.m. at night? Like, how much more grinding and hustling can someone do? So I said, you know what? I'm not going to sign the lease. Yeah, 2,000 was just too much for myself. 1 bedroom. So I just had to leave. And then from there, I went back home for a little bit. So this was like 2024 that I moved out. I'm sorry, not 2024. I moved in 2024, April 2024, and then I moved out April 2025. So I moved out last year from Van Cortlandt Park. And then April 2025, which was last year, I think I lived with my mom for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. For like 5 months. I was hopping back and forth from my mom's house and my boyfriend's mom's house for 5 months. And then that's when I found a room in the Upper West Side just last year, actually. October 2025. I'm very glad that the lady that rented the room, she only charged me like $600, which luckily it was right above. It was the building right above the grocery mom and pop shop I've been talking to you guys about for years. She's actually a customer from that mom and pop shop that I closed the store at. That one, she was a customer there, and she would she actually was looking for someone, and I moved in with her October 2025. Moved into that room. I had a little bit more breathing room, because you cannot compare $2,000 a month to $650 or $600 or $650. You know, she was very flexible, very kind with that. I love that I was able to sleep in a little more, because in that room, I had a babysitting gig down the block on Columbus from that room, and I just walk there and I'll get there in like 5 minutes. And then when I would finish babysitting at 6 o'clock, I'll go to the supermarket. 5 minutes, I'm there. And then when I would close the shop at 10 p.m., I would just be an elevator right up. So that was the perk for a year. You know, working these odd jobs, The only perk I would say is just being so close in walking distance from everywhere, from everything. And like I said earlier, I grew up in the Upper West Side, in the 90s, high 90s. So it was the neighborhood that I always knew and loved. So it was easy to get around. You know, I guess it made my life a bit easier. But now we're in August 19th, 2026. And for the past year, I've just been hustling, babysitting, cashier, occasional dog walking. But I want to say that I am exhausted. I am tired. I am very tired, actually, mentally. But thanks to God for giving me the strength and the grace and the mercy and the health, primarily the health, to keep me going during these tough, very tough, very, very tough times. You know, I feel like without God, I wouldn't have been able to achieve, not really achieve. I feel like I didn't really achieve anything other than put myself through the fire and then come out of it because of my actions. But I want to say it was a very humbling experience. Very humbling. Because I wanted to go back to graduate school. I wanted to be I wanted to be at a campus, like learning and growing, you know, reading. I had no time for myself. Everything that I wanted, I like basically like died to myself every day. Like my soul would cry out, like I just want to be in a campus. I just want to go like hang out with some friends, read a book, for God's sake. I wanted to read a book. I can't even do that because my whole day is just like no time to stop. You gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. But yeah, it was traumatizing. It was hectic. It was a very miserable journey when you see everyone just having fun, going on vacation, and you can't even do that. You can't even get yourself a pair of nice clothes because for what? Everything is just going to your debt. And everything that I've gotten, it's been like on sale. People always think or mistake me that I have a lot of money. I really don't. I just know how to find very cute pieces. That's something I've always done since like high school. I've always gone to thrift shops and found cute pieces. Like these glasses, they're from Five Below. And you wouldn't even know. This top is from TJ Maxx. And this little skirt, short type of thing, TJ Maxx, on sale. But yes, with that being said, that was my journey. Oh, God. What a ride. At least I know that I'm able to manage $2,000 rent by myself on top of having debt. But I just learned a really hard way. Oh, Lord, have mercy. But like I mentioned earlier, on a serious note, I would not have done it without Jesus. Let's be clear. I don't want to say God, such a standard term, but Jesus Christ, you know, he really made a way. I was never without food and never without a roof over my head. Never hungry. He always gave me the jobs, even though they were not ideal. He knows that it's not something that I wanted to do. I hate doing cashier work. I hate doing nanny gigs. Are you kidding me? You know the family dynamics that you have to enter in every single time, you know, maneuver and adjust yourself to new family dynamics. And then, you know, children have different, you know, challenges within themselves. Every family is different. There's always going to be good and bad. So that was mentally and emotionally exhausting, having to just be a positive light because you're the only employee that they hired, you know. So it feels isolating. You really don't have any coworkers to talk to. It's just you and the kid, and responding to the family and what they want from you, and adapting to whatever they want from you. You know, making them happy. So again, you kind of you have to die to yourself in these gigs, in these jobs, because it's not just a simple transaction you do. It's everything. It's your whole personality. It's your whole being. It's your whole. It's important to be the best that you can be for them, because you're working for them. You're a private employee in their home, so you have to care. You know, it's not just a simple job. You know, you're taking care of someone's child, and everything, every detail matters. So I feel like I dealt with a lot of pressure in my personal life, financially. A lot of pressure in my life, paying rent, doing this, doing that, dealing with debt, and then on top of that, dealing with high pressure jobs that really take an emotional, mental load. But yeah, that is my debt story. You know, I think things are starting to die down now. Things are not that intense as they were, and I don't have any loans anymore. I paid everything off. Thank God, because he did help a lot. I cannot skip out the most important part of this whole journey, is that one night a year ago, when I freshly moved into my room and that I was renting, I literally surrendered one night. And I'm not someone that I'm very Christian. I try not to like talk to people about like the Bible. I kind of just let that be my own thing. I don't want to shove religions down someone's throat. So I remember one night I just surrendered to God. I said, I cannot do this. I feel like I'm in a hole and I cannot get out. And just paying rent and having this extra living expense is just really draining me and sucking the life out of me. I need you to intervene. Like, I need you to step in and do something so like miraculous, because I don't see a way out of my current lifestyle. Like the current the daily survival, like being on survival, grinding and hustling, but you really have no purpose in life. I needed something to just grab me and get me the hell out of there. So I remember just surrendering to God. I'm like, I cannot do this. Like literally, I physically cannot do this anymore. Like 0%, there's nothing, there's no drive left in me. Like, can you please do something? And so one of the loans actually, it got like sent to collections, I think. And that made me like more insane. I'm like, what the hell? Like, when will I see the light at the end of the tunnel? But again, pretty self-explanatory, because I was barely making it. And it got sent to collections, and I would call every day, like, where's my loan? Like, can I make a payment? Like, can I throw anything at it? Like, I need to make a payment. Turns out they had lowered the amount of that loan. So instead of paying like $20,000, they called me the next day after my experience, like surrendering to God, to Jesus. I got a call the next day from the company, from the loan collections company, and they said to me, hey, we're gonna do an offer. Instead of you paying $20,000, we're just gonna lower this loan to $5,000. If you can pay that off in 3 months, you can just pay $5,000. But if you cannot pay this within 3 to 4 months, we apologize, the loan is gonna stick to 20,000. If you can promise us that you can make a payment of 5K within 3 to 4 months, we will give you that offer. And I remember just crying. I'm like, no, that has to be God, because how did I surrender the night before that I really cannot do this? I literally would tell God, like, I don't want to be in my 30s paying this off and not pursuing what I want to do in life. Like, I just cannot. So I took the offer. I said yes, like, I will promise to pay this off in 5 or less months. I would do it just to only have that deduction from 20,000 to 5,000. I will do anything to lower that, because that 15,000, it's just gonna add extra years of aging to my life and stress that I don't want, that I already dealt with for 4 years. So I took the offer. And that supermarket job, the mom and pop Greek shop, the owner called me. Literally that same day that the loan company made me that offer, the owner called me. Hey Cindy, do you think you can cover weekends as well on top of weekdays closing the store? I immediately said yes. I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this as a sign that God, you are finding a way for me. Even though I have no strength, but I will do this in your name. I will do this because you made a way when I literally was like, I cannot do this. You lower that loan from 20,000 to 5,000 in a matter of like a night. And then my boss offering me more hours for weekends, which is like a full day, like working from 1 to 10. That was my schedule on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. That would make me like 200 from 1 to 10. On top of that, I get free food there, free snacks, free everything. So that's a perk, free food. God supplied for me, because that store, they spoil me. They give me whatever the hell I want. Anything I see, I want. Even if I don't got money for groceries, those owners, they're like, you know what? I got you. You don't gotta pay. Like, that's how nice they are there. I would clock in, get my free coffee, my free iced coffee that would give me the energy for the remaining of the shift. And you know, that literally happened. Once that loan company made me that offer last year, it was like during October when I was freshly moved into my room. That's when my boss called me, offering me the weekend. He said, can you do it? Yes or no? I said yes. Yes, with these extra weekend hours and the night shifts, I will tackle the 5K. I will tackle the 5K because now I have extra stream of income. Not what I want to do, of course. I'd rather not be in a damn supermarket anymore. I'll be back in school. You'll find me in the freaking library with an iced coffee in my hand and a book. That's where I want to be. Oh, and in church, by the way. Church. And I said yes to my boss. I said, of course, I will take the hours. I literally called my boyfriend. I'm like, I am going to make it a mission to pay this off in 3 to 4 or 5 months max. And thanks to God, I did. But everything just came together. Everything just came together. Yeah, gladly everything came back together. Like, that's how everything just happened. And I did occasional like house sitting, dog walking for a couple of clients I've made over the years doing dog services. So I have a very rich client. She's a doctor. She gave me like $1,000 for like a week to take care of her house and her animals, which that helped me a lot. Shout out to you, because that really gave me the boost to make my last payment, and I did. So yeah, that is my debt story, and I will post videos, pictures of my journey, because during that time I was miserable. I would take pictures of myself. I was like gaining weight, getting skinny, gaining weight, getting skinny. I was just everywhere. But God pulled through. And right now, after that journey, I might have lost time. Most importantly, I lost time. I wish I had enjoyed my early 20s more. partying and obviously going to school. By partying, I mean like spending time with friends and just being more with my family and my friends and enjoying life, traveling. But that didn't happen. So I'm just trying to make up for all the time that I lost, you know. But I think there's hope because I'm not dead. God has kept me. God has kept me healthy, even though I've been really tired. I lost sleep, a lot of sleep. But hey, I just don't want it to age me. And yesterday I got a haircut and the lady thought I was 18. So I'll take that as a win. Because I was very afraid that this experience for 4 years straight, I thought it aged me to 35. Nothing with being 35, but I'm just like, yo, I didn't even process my 20s. Let me not look 35 or 40 years old. But my hairstylist yesterday said, I thought you were 18. I'm like, no, I'm about to be 30 years old. I didn't even enjoy my 20s, which makes me depressed every day when I think about that. But that is my journey, and I will be back with more videos, but just this time with better high quality, because last year they were bad. I was using my old MacBook. But yeah, thanks for listening. I will be back with more random chatter videos, and thanks for tuning in.